All by myself, all by myself. Oh, hi guys, I miss you, and this classroom never gets any easier to enter without all of your smiling faces, and I just hope you know that I think about you each and every day. I hope that you're doing well today. I know it's a little later for our math video, but I want to go over our final formula for the year. Round of applause. Firecracker clap. Remember those? All right, so it's our final formula for the year, and it's on interest. Now, yesterday you did some banking, and I hope that you enjoyed that lesson because it is kind of fun to think about having your own checking account and how you would spend your money and if you would save or be a spender. But today we're talking about interest. Now, what is interest? Interest is a fee that is charged for money that you borrow. Now, if you have a credit card, or your parents, obviously, I don't think you would have a credit card, they would have to pay interest on that credit card. Normally, if you purchase a house, then you have to have interest figured into your payment. A car has interest. Sometimes you can purchase maybe big pieces of furniture or maybe dental plans, and interest is figured into that. So a lot of times if you're purchasing something large and you have to borrow money, then the fee that's charged for that is the interest. The principal is the money that you borrowed. So maybe you see a car that you're looking at. I know Ashton has a truck that he's working on and he has parts and things like that. But maybe this car or this truck that you see that you want costs, let's say, $6,000. If you borrow money from the bank, you would say, all right, I need to borrow $6,000. That's my principal. The bank would say, sure, you can do that. But now we're going to loan you that money and you're going to have to pay us some interest for what we've loaned you. That would be the fee that they charge. And then the last component to the formula would be the rate, the time of the loan. And sometimes if you finance a car, you might finance it for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. And so that means over that rate of time, over that period of time, you have to pay back that $6,000 plus whatever interest the bank charges for that loan. So your final formula, are you ready? For the year is I equals P times R times T. You can also say it I equals PRT. And that means principal, rate, and interest. So it's just a multiplication problem. It's not too difficult at all. So we've got from our book on the first section, it says to circle the principal, underline the rate of interest, and box the interest paid. Mr. Cox deposited $978.50. The bank pays its depositors 5 3/4% interest yearly. So that's going to be your interest. It's a percent, so you want to underline it. And then it says at the end of the year, he withdrew $978.50 plus $56.26. So you want to circle the principals. Now, principal would be $978.50, circle it. And you can circle it again. There's 2 different times it's listed. And then you want to put a box around $56.26 because that was the interest. So wait a second here. It seems to me that interest in this particular problem is a good thing. Oh yes, let me mention that. So if you do start a bank account, you get paid interest for the money that you deposit into that account. And the more money you have, the more interest you get paid. So if you start a bank account at a young age, and there are actually different types that you can open where you can have compounded interest, then you could possibly earn quite a bit of money over a period of years. So interest can be a good thing, or it can be maybe something that's not as positive depending on what you're borrowing. Let's take a look at our first story problem. Mr. Weaver borrowed $5,000 from a loan company for 1 year at an 18% rate of interest. How much must he repay at the end of the year? All right, so our steps are to follow the formula, PRT. My principal is $5,000. The rate is 18%. Notice I changed it to a decimal, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply. 8 times 5 is 40. Put our placeholder here. And then we'll add our partial products. Don't forget that decimal, that's very important. 1, 2, 1, 2. We're gonna put our decimal right here. And then, because it was just simply for 1 year, you don't need to multiply that because you know 1 times any number is going to be the number in which you're multiplying. So the answer is 900. Now that's not my final answer because there's one more step. It says how much must he repay? He has to repay the principal plus the interest. So you want to combine those two. So 5,000 plus 900 would be $5,900. That's why he has to repay. Ugh. You see where interest is kind of a biting thing in some areas? How could he have avoided the interest? Is there a way to avoid the interest? Okay, this is coming from Dave Ramsey right here, the financial guru. He would say, do not borrow money. Save up cash for everything. That's what he would say to do. That's not always easy, but that's what Dave Ramsey would say to do. Okay, that's my little plug for Dave Ramsey. All right, now, let's take a look at the next problem. Dr. Cunningham borrowed $25,000 from Dr. Grant for a half a year at 5% rate of interest. How much will Dr. Cunningham have to repay? So he borrowed money from a friend. Well, it's probably not a good principle because the Bible says, what is it, something about the borrower is slave to the lender? So be careful about that. All right, let's nevertheless see what we need to figure out here. So I've got it starting for us. $25,000 is the principal. Your rate is 5%. I changed that to a decimal, 0.05. And then I went ahead and did the multiplication for you. It's $1,250, but we're not done because it's PRT. What was the time? It was for a half of a year. I went ahead and changed that half of a year to 0.5 because I would prefer to work with decimals as opposed to fractions. So $1,250 times 0.5 is $625. That is the interest. He had to pay that friend back $625 on top of the amount that he borrowed. So we add those two together to get $25,625. That's the total payment. So do you get the idea? PRT. So for 3A, you're going to say 500 times 0.09 times 1. That'll give you your interest. And these are all for either a year or half a year. So for letter E, you would multiply it times 0.5. So it's going to be 7,500 times 0.1275 times 0.5. All right, 6th graders, you've got this. You can do it. On section 4, back page, you're doing some balancing again. And I will tell you this. If you would like to use a calculator just for the checkbook balances, I will allow you to do that, okay? So those of you that are watching to the end of the video, you got a little special surprise there. Only on balances, don't use it on interest, don't use it on other problems, but if it's about a checkbook balance, I will let you use it, okay? That's my gift to you on this Tuesday. I hope you guys have a great day.